What's up, peeps? This is Todd, and welcome back to my show. So as most of you probably know by now, my channel is dedicated to making money, saving money, investing, pretty much just building wealth. But I wanted to put this video out there about how expensive it is to actually be poor. The poor have been getting ripped off for years, and I want to make sure that everybody has access to this information so they can avoid getting ripped off in the future. Now, at the time I'm recording this video, there is still time to sign up for the Todd Baldwin 2021 Frugality Challenge, where you can win up to $1,000 as well as a consulting call with me about how to invest it. So if you want to sign up for that challenge, I have a link on how to do so in the description below. But now let's get into the video. If you are a poor person, and by that definition, I'm going to talk about people that are making below the poverty line, there are a lot more rules and regulations that apply to you. Basic financial services like checking accounts, ATMs, personal checks, getting a credit score, all of those things will cost you more if you're a poor person. Now, one of the reasons for this is that a bank makes its profit by investing the money that you have on deposit. A bank is allowed to lend up to 9 times what they have in reserves. So essentially, if you put $10,000 into a bank is able to lend out $90,000 to other people and charge an interest rate. So what that means to you is if you have a small amount of money in the bank really isn't making any money off of you. So to the bank, you are not a profitable client if your bank account balance is too low. That's why you will see many banks have monthly service fees if your account balance is under $1,500. Now think about this for a second. If you have money and you put it in a bank, the bank pays you an interest rate. If you do not have money, you have a low balance that you keep in that bank, the bank charges you a monthly service fee. So you're rich and you have money? Perfect. The bank says, here's more money. Oh, you're poor and you don't have a lot of money? Okay, well, we're going to take money away from you. We're going to charge you every month for using our bank. Now, people who are truly struggling, what happens if your bank account balance goes below zero? You can oftentimes be charged an overdraft fee for $35. So if you're down to, say, $3 in your bank account and you go buy breakfast for your kids at McDonald's and let's say you spend $4, that $1 difference that brought you from 0 to -1, that's going to charge you $35. Now, here is the sketchy part. Let's say you are a poor person and you overdraft on your bank. Banks will charge you that service fee every time you overdraw. In other words, if you get down to 0 and you keep spending, for every time you swipe that debit card, they're going to charge you an overdraft fee. Banks have actually been sued in the past for rearranging your transactions from biggest to smallest. So for example, let's say you have $100 in your bank account and you spend $1 on coffee, then maybe later on in the week you spend $5 on lunch, and that same day you spend $25 on dinner, and then finally you spend a big chunk of money, let's say your phone bill, that actually takes you negative. What the banks have done in the past is they actually put that phone bill first so that that transaction brings your account super low, and then all of those other transactions are the ones that take you to 0 and beyond. Because if your account's already at 0 and then you go get the coffee and then you go get the lunch and the groceries or whatever, they can charge you that $35 fee every time you use your card when your account is at 0. Now, if a bank is willing to extend you credit at all, it'll be at a much higher interest rate than someone who is middle class or wealthy. Someone who is poor can often get charged 22% interest. A person in the middle class can usually get away with about 15% in interest, but as a wealthy person, I can tell you, we get 0% financing. If I want to go buy a car tomorrow, I can finance it at 0% because I'm a rich person, which again, this is just a crazy thing. It's like, oh, you're rich. Okay, we won't charge you interest. You're poor? You don't have any money? Okay, we're going to charge you a lot of interest. None of it makes any sense. And of course, if you're paying more interest each and every month, that means overall you have less money, and late payments will rack up more fees, but just end up costing you way more money in the long run. Even cash can be more expensive if you don't have much of it. Let's say you take out $100 from an out-of-network ATM. So that means that the ATM is going to charge you $3. Essentially, that $3 works out to be a 3% charge of that amount you took out. But let's say you withdraw $100 over the course of a month, and you can only actually afford to take out $20 at a time. Every time you go to that ATM to withdraw $20, you're still paying that $3 fee. So after you go to the ATM 5 different times to withdraw $20 at a time, equating to $100, instead of a 3% fee, you're basically paying 15% because you had to keep going back to the ATM just to get that $100, and they charge you $3 every single time. What this means is that poor people can ultimately be paying thousands of dollars every single year just to access the same services that wealthy people get for free. So you might be saying, well, maybe these poor people should just avoid banks altogether. But of course, if you go cash a check at like Walmart or something, they charge you a fee as well. Even something like paying your rent using a money order, usually money orders cost about $8 every time you get one. That is an $8 recurring fee that wealthy people won't won't have to pay. In my own personal experience, when I got together the down payment for this duplex, I had to do a wire transfer of about $100,000. Now, with many transactions, there is a $35 wire fee, but the bank that I use gives people with money a pass. Essentially, if you have over $25,000 in your bank account, they waive all wire fees. A poor person will never have $25,000 in their bank account, so of course if they ever do need to wire money, they're going to be charged a fee. Now for the poor people that find themselves in a position where they can't even get a bank loan or a credit card, oftentimes these folks have to go to payday lenders, and those are the absolute worst. The average interest rate of a payday loan is about 800%. Imagine that. Even paying 30% interest is astronomical, but a lot of these payday lenders, they charge poor people 800% on a loan. But it's not just about borrowing money or using credit cards that's more expensive. Even stuff that you normally buy would be more expensive if you're poor. If you need to feed a family, buying in bulk at Costco is usually the best option. But of course, if you're poor, you don't always have all the money right up front to buy in bulk. So you end up going to fast food restaurants or convenience stores because at the register, it's less than spending a couple $100s on groceries. But of course, over the course of the month, it really adds up to be more. To make matters worse, oftentimes big food retailers actually avoid poor neighborhoods. That is essentially what a food desert is. If there are no grocery stores around poor neighborhoods, then those poor people really have no choice but to resort to fast food and convenience stores to feed their families. Now, in addition to even fast food being more expensive than cooking at home, it can also impact long-term health risks like diabetes, cancer, and heart disease. Even something like rent can be more expensive for a poor person. Poor people don't usually have very good credit, so the lower your credit score is, the higher of a deposit a landlord would want to charge. Now, let's say the poor person can't even afford first, last, and a security deposit. Instead, they would go to a motel, which again, might not require that deposit up front, but over the course of a month, spending money every night for a motel is going to be more expensive than renting an apartment. A statement that I found true in my life is time is money. And if you don't have a lot of money, that means you have to spend more time on everyday tasks. Whether it's waiting at the bus stop, waiting at the laundromat, waiting in overcrowded health clinics, which would leave much less free time to take care of your family, or even spend that time adding on a second income. Not to mention, the lower your income, the greater percentage of it goes to inflation. For example, if you make $200,000 per year, and the costs of goods are going up by 2%, although it might be annoying, it's not a big part of your world. But if you make $20,000 per year, and a loaf of bread goes up by 2%, or gas goes up by 2%, that added cost is a much greater percentage of your income. This can also lead to what we call the scarcity trap, which can force poor people to fixate on what they don't have. For example, a mother running low on diapers might panic and go to the store and buy a crazy amount of diapers and just stock up. But then, because she bought so many extra diapers, she might not have enough money left over for rent. Now, some people watching this might just say that poor people need to be smarter and spend less and work harder. And although that is a big part of financial freedom, you do have to have some wiggle room to even be able to make that decision. So to wrap things up, it's really expensive to be poor. What you and I might take for granted in free banking and 0% interest on a credit card for the first 18 months, poor people don't get that. And it makes it much, much harder for them to get ahead. Like it or not, the poor people in this country are being scammed every single day. And the first step to changing that is creating awareness and financial literacy. I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.